I'm Symphony Privet. Thank you for joining us here on Featured. We hope to inspire or simply make you smile with some uplifting stories across the country. Now, remember the world before GPS? You know, we actually had to use paper maps. Yeah, I don't miss that. Well, now there is a new app that helps make the travel experience easier for passengers with certain disabilities. Jim Altman takes us to Connecticut to show us how it works.
At Bradley International Airport, this is higher tech before passengers with disabilities ever take off.
Slowly pan your phone to the left or right.
The airport is introducing the Good Maps app.
Good Maps is an indoor accessible navigation company. So think of Google Maps for the indoors.
Position found. Lower phone to return to map.
When you come inside a big space like an airport, maybe for the first time, or say with an accessibility need, whether you're blind or low vision or mobility impaired, it's often difficult to find where you're trying to go, whether that's the bathroom or the TSA pre-check or your gate. And so Good Maps offers indoor navigation that is highly accessible to a multitude of needs, and also has features like augmented reality.
Kevin Klein lost his sight 6 years ago. He now works for Good Maps.
Continue 80 feet, then destination on right.
Helping to raise awareness and hopefully lower barriers.
It's really making it to where anyone, whether they are blind like myself, deaf, low hearing, neurodiverse, wheelchair users, speak different languages, can walk into this door at an airport or a museum, a rail station, university, and go on their way.
There were a group of potential passengers learning more about the program on the concourse.
And we're trying to grow it into as many spaces as possible so that they can be welcoming and accessible to everyone.
And Kevin says these are bigger steps towards more independence.
And that's the biggest goal, is for me to be as independent to walk through a space as I could when I had perfect vision. So it's a game changer for many reasons.
And that was Jim Altman reporting. Right now, 12 airports across the country are using the Good Maps app. All right, now to St. Louis, where a student athlete is turning obstacles into opportunities. Renee Knott introduces us to a high school senior who is determined to win no matter the challenge.
She is the epitome of the student athlete.
She has just worked so hard.
Posting numbers in the classroom.
I have a 4.2 GPA and a 33 ACT.
Scoring on the court.
I like to say I do the scout work.
Speeding down the track. Josie Portell believes in taking on all the challenges of life.
When she sets her mind to something, she gets it. Josie doesn't think there's something that she can't do.
And life's challenges.
A lot of setbacks, but she bounces back.
Began at birth for Josie.
I was born with spina bifida, myelomeningocele, so I have paralysis from my knees down.
But Josie's parents made it an effort to focus on what she could do.
My parents along the way have been such an amazing support system for me.
Not what she couldn't do.
Don't teach her that she's disabled. Teach her that she just does things differently.
The Disabled Athletes Sports Association, also known as DASA,
Honestly, I've grown up in adaptive sports since I was 3.
gave her the chance to take advantage of her abilities.
Sports have helped shape the course of my life. They've given me an opportunity to get the same benefits that everybody else gets from sports.
Now,
I'm not just my disability, I'm all my abilities.
the soon-to-be Parkway South grad is heading off to college. She'll play women's wheelchair basketball
And it still doesn't feel real sometimes.
at the University of Illinois.
I've been wanting to go there since I was 9 years old and visited campus for the first time.
While Josie's mom isn't quite ready for her to go, she believes
She's a fighter.
her daughter is now well prepared
Josie is just an 18-year-old girl that's living her best life.
for the road of life.
Oh God, I'm insanely proud.
I can overcome anything that life might throw at me.
That was Renee Knott reporting. Now, there is no days off for a student in Texas. A high school freshman has not missed a single day of school in 11 years. I couldn't say the same. Robert De La Garza caught up with the teen to find out what keeps him running on the field and to classrooms.
It's a streak over a decade in the making. Jabari Moore hasn't missed a single day of school since kindergarten. That's right, perfect attendance from day one. He just finished his freshman year, and he's a true triple threat: football, basketball, and track. It's his motivation for going to school every day.
And if I gotta go to practice, then I have to go to school the next day and push myself to stay awake in class.
Sure, Jabari's the one getting the spotlight right now, but he's quick to give the credit to the team behind the scenes, including his parents.
And getting me to practices, even though they'll be early and they don't want to wake up, they'll get me here.
As a parent, I just want what's best for my kids.
Alto ISD Superintendent Derek Conley says Jabari is setting a great example for others.
It's an inspiration for all of us, but I hope that exemplifies what an Alto Yellow Jacket does.
All while developing lifelong skills.
There'll be times when his mom and dad aren't going to be the ones to get him up and go to work, but he'll remember this. And those habits, that discipline that he's learning right now.
Jabari is taking it one day at a time, but his mom has bigger plans.
The goal is to make it through to the senior year without missing no days of school.
He's got big dreams. UT next, then the pros. But for now, it's all about the grind.
If you want to accomplish your dreams, you have to go put in hard work and dedication to accomplish them. And trust in God.
Wow, that was Robert De La Garza reporting. Now, some people, they see retirement as the end of a chapter, but for a man in Arkansas, it is just the beginning of a new mission. Journey Taylor explains how he is pursuing his purpose and encouraging other folks to leave behind a legacy of good.
Jamie Middleton, Community Engagement Manager at Immerse, says the connection between Immerse and Retire United, a new initiative by the Heart of Arkansas United Way, is opening doors not just for young people, but for retirees ready to re-engage.
We've partnered with United Way in the past on different donation drives, just different ways that they've helped in and helped out with our youth. So I was really excited for them to have a new volunteer initiative and be able to come out to serve lunch for our youth.
Elroy Willoughby, a state government retiree.
Yes, congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
With more than 3 decades of service under his belt, for Willoughby, retirement didn't mean slowing down, it meant stepping up.
I worked in social services, job training, that type. When I retired, it's like, okay, do I go home and just sit down and not be a credit to my community?
For many, retirement can bring uncertainty, but through Retire United, Willoughby sees a chance to find purpose.
As retirees, I think we lose our sense of purpose when we retire and we just go home and sit, and we want to be useful.
If there is a part of your community that is not the best, you can make a difference. You can truly go out there. You can change that part that you think needs some upgrading, where they need more help, or that's a little bit scary. Actually go out and meet the people that seem to be scary, and you'll realize they truly are just like you, just a different path that they went on.
As for Willoughby, he's paying it forward and challenging others to do the same.
My dad was an uneducated farmer in Lono County, and one thing he always said to me, he said, whatever you do in life, leave it better than you found it. And that's always stuck with me. So that's what I hope my legacy is. Whatever I touch, whoever I come into contact with, they're better off after the contact with me than they were when I met them.
That was Journey Taylor reporting. We have more for you ahead on Featured. Notes of inspiration. A father and a son share a passion for music in Minnesota. How their relationship is striking a chord in their community. Plus, a band is drifting downriver using only music to survive. What the group found on the water that money can't buy. And love stinks. Why a couple is embracing the gross stuff that many people won't touch. We share their new venture that might have you holding your nose. Welcome back. Now, when you hear your favorite song, you might feel a rush of excitement, maybe sing along or do a little dance. But for a band director in Minnesota, music brings back happy memories that help him get through some difficult times. Boyd Hubert explains.
And go now.
Like songs, school years have beginnings. But no one can predict in the fall the stanzas that will follow.
A beloved band director and his wife were killed in a car crash on Friday.
Rich Richard Hahn directed the Forest Lake High School Band for 29 years, during which he inspired
1 and 2.
his son.
Ready and go. And one of my earliest memories of my father is being on his shoulders while he walked through his marching band.
Marcus Hahn and the Cooper High School Band had the day off school last fall as his parents drove to a funeral, entered this intersection, and were hit by a dump truck.
They were his best friends.
Jennifer Hahn is Marcus's wife.
Well, my dad never missed a concert.
During college in Minnesota and Nevada,
They always showed up.
Marcus's mom, Jeanette, had been a middle school choir director.
When I had my first job at Triton High School in southern Minnesota, my parents drove the hour and a half and the hour and a half back for every concert.
He called his dad every day on the way home from work to talk about what they were playing, ways to inspire the kids.
It was a couple weeks into our season.
Bandy's Gabe Cummings, DJ Cannon.
Instant tears, honestly.
And Kendall Karskadden.
Yeah.
New son and father were close.
He would talk about him in band a lot.
Every day. The best relationship, father and son relationship I've ever seen. Just father and mother, just by far.
So they got busy.
We wore gold ribbons in honor of his parents because they love the U. The football players even, they were wearing gold stickers on their helmets.
They showed up to the wake. I remember looking over there and seeing just a line of my students starting to walk through the door.
There were some tears that were shed from everyone.
A lot of tears by everybody.
He was shocked.
But Jennifer's husband was also reminded. Band is family.
Forest Lake High School going through the Tournament of Roses in '87.
Dad?
He's right down here.
And son.
I traveled with them to the 92 tournament. I was 6 years old. He made a bed for me in the aisle of the bus. He's my grandfather.
Marcus's grandpa.
This is a plaque.
A band director, too.
Off of his office. I'm the third Mr. Hahn.
And now a fourth generation. 3-year-old Shelby is also showing interest. She learned this from her grandma.
I definitely believe they're smiling down.
Smiling down and appreciating the finale. The same Battle Hymn of the Republic that ended every school concert directed by Marcus's dad, conducted with his dad's baton. Like songs, school years also have endings. Unless
you've done good.
They touch our hearts.
Stella, you've done such a good job this year.
When that happens, songs and school years stay with us.
I was so nervous.
I know.
For life.
Part of it. That's part of it. You did so well.
Thank you.
Boyd Hooper.
Oh, nice job.
New Hope.
Oh, what a great story. All right, check out this one. A folk band traded in comfort for a 21-day voyage on the water in Idaho. Now, the group only brought the clothes on their backs and the instruments in their hands. Now, they spoke with Aspen Shumpert to explain how strangers are helping them stay afloat.
Most river trips start with the same ritual. Loading up food, water, maybe even some camping gear.
Here's Banjo. Here's Banjo.
But this one's different.
Every little dollar warms us up.
What if you brought $0?
We don't bring any food or money to start the journey. We say we're going to go from point A to point B. We're going to rely on music. Sounds like we've all had enough, and it sounds like
Meet the Colorado band, A Brother's Fountain.
We call it campfire folk. And sometimes it's campfire folk where you're really just chilling around the fire and kind of thinking about the deep things of life, watching the embers flood into the stars. Sometimes it's campfire folk where you're drinking whiskey and wrestling your friends in the dirt. So it runs the gamut between rowdy and soft.
They are going with the flow, literally.
We want to break the mold. We want to break the box that we all live in. We all have this routine, this kind of day-to-day thing, and we want to, do something different, do something weird, something that catches people's imagination.
For 3 weeks, they're testing whether or not their sounds can keep them afloat.
We trade music for all provisions and kind of put music to the test and the power of music to bring people together.
Their pick? rafting 120 miles of the Snake River from Melba, Idaho to Huntington, Oregon.
Multiple towns along the river that we could float. It's not dammed, that's safe to swim in, doesn't have too many rapids to where we're losing our instruments and guitars and stuff. And this stretch of river ticked all the boxes.
Stopping at campgrounds and RV parks along the way, betting on striking the right chord with strangers.
We were all kind of nervous because this is a little more remote, and even being on the river, we've had to hitchhike or catch a ride into town to get to people to offer music to.
It's something that gets you out of your comfort zone in places you wouldn't be otherwise, and shows you that even strangers will throw you a lifeline.
The first day was so sad. We had no snacks, no motivation to play music. It was just kind of a sad sunbathing float. Day one, we were hungry, borderline starving.
But the rest of the journey has a different melody.
We traded a song for a catfish, which we cooked for dinner. Day two onward, we were able to kind of slowly amass. Okay, we got a bag of rice, split it up. We got a donut, we split it in 7 pieces.
The current now flowing in their favor.
We went into Melba and did the farmer's market, and all of the makers kind of ended up sending us home with stuff. So we had sourdough, we had homemade jams, all of this really, sweet pastries. We've really been just welcomed with open arms by the whole state on the internet, and as the locals have poured in, and people pulling over on the side of the road saying, "Are you got banned on TikTok?" We thought we'd be a lot more hungry on this journey, but it turns out all the local community has showed up, believed in us.
Yeah, it's just been incredible. I mean, the small town feel, the small town communities there's something special. There's a special spark there, and just folks are just so kind, so warm and welcoming.
Between the performances and paddling, inspiration is finding rhythm.
Now, the band says this proves the best currency has nothing to do with money. I love that story. That was Aspen Shumpert reporting. It's time for a quick break, but here's a look at what's ahead on Featured. Look at this. Don't count these chickens out. They almost went extinct, but now they are flourishing. How a rural town in Colorado helped the birds make a comeback. Plus, finding the humor in heartbreak. We'll tell you why a teenager is taking a page from her ex for a school assignment. Welcome back. Let's dive into what's trending on social media now. Think about back in the day. You remember when your parents would take you to a shoe store and they made you walk up and down the aisles to make sure your new kicks were comfortable? Let me tell you something. I used to make the Payless shoe aisle my own runway. Well, there is one family shoe shopping trip that is going viral right now. Take a look. Taylor and Xavier Kearney took their 3 daughters out for some new shoes, but as soon as those little Churchills you see there hit the floor, the girls turned the aisle into their own stage, complete with twirls, struts, and a few hallelujahs. The TikTok moment has racked up millions of views, reminding many other folks of their childhood and church memories. One person writing, "They got to make sure those shoes are praise sturdy." How cute. All right, now, when you were a teenager, you probably took your first heartbreak really hard. You think it's the end of the world. Well, one teen is finding the silver lining at her breakup, and she is making other folks laugh in the process.
Right now, I am Eve, and you are my forbidden fruit. I'm gonna make a joke about how it's not you, it's me, but it'd be the most true joke I'd ever make.
Hope Barlow turned a breakup email from her boyfriend into a monologue for her theater class. The high school senior says her ex is a Mormon missionary and wanted to focus on his relationship with God, which she says she understands. But she found it strange when he referred to her as objects like forbidden fruit and a gallon refillable bag. She thought the email was perfect for her school's theater competition, so she got his permission to use it, and, well, the rest was viral. The video gained nearly 10 million views on TikTok. Wow. All right, that's a wrap on what's trending. Here's a look at what you can expect up next. A school goes on night watch in Idaho. We share why teachers there are becoming a part of their students' bedtime routines. for sticking around with us here on Featured. I'm Symphony Privet, and we are continuing to bring you uplifting stories across the country. You know, it's not always easy to get kids to bed on time. My parents had a little bit of a routine, but I would try to stray from it every now and then. Well, experts say they need about 10 to 12 hours of sleep per night to do their best at school. And teachers in Idaho are taking on some nighttime duties to make sure their students are prepared for class. Maggie O'Mara explains how the staff works together to make it happen.
So we started Operation Bedtime Story as a part of our attendance campaign here at Taft. We had all of our staff participate and read bedtime stories, recorded those, and then on a nightly basis I would send that out via an app called Remind and let parents know that the next story was available and encourage them to listen to the story with their child and then get their child to bed so they could get that 10 to 12 hours of sleep.
After about a month, Lowe noticed improved attendance at Taft, and Operation Bedtime Story has been
hugely popular. And we have kind of a unique population here. About a third of our students do not speak English, or their parents don't speak English.
Hi guys!
So this is a great opportunity for them to be able to just click on the link and listen and watch the story together.
Like so many of Taft's teachers, Mr. Hamlin was more than happy to submit a video of him reading a book.
I read Jabari Jumps, which is one of my favorite books about a boy who's being brave, jumping off a high dive. The next morning was, I saw you last night. So they were so excited to see me on YouTube, and anything on YouTube is awesome. So how many of you were able to go listen to some of those stories? Show of hands. Nice. How many of you enjoyed the opportunity of listening to some of your teachers read a book at night, for them to be able to go in any time to go listen to a story by a teacher? They get to hear a fluent reader, they get to choose the book they want now that we have so many stories out there.
I listen to a lot of books.
Do you enjoy it? Watching them on YouTube?
Yes.
What's the best part?
The best part is listening to them.
The books were just really good. I just couldn't stop watching them because they were so good.
I really liked the story that my sister's teacher read, and it was very fun. I get to see my teachers at Taft Elementary, and I get to see them at night.
That connection is one of the best parts here, having their teachers read to them at home.
Have you read this before?
Taft asked me to record a story for Operation Bedtime Story, and I was so honored.
All right, let's turn the page.
Mr. Hamlin says this idea could work for any school.
Absolutely. Not that hard to do. Biggest bang for your buck.
It's a great way to get kids into a bedtime routine and get more sleep.
What a great book.
Awesome. Thinking outside of the box, what's another way we can connect with our community, with our students, with our parents. It's the coolest idea.
Well, the principal says Operation Bedtime Story has been such a success, they will continue it next year, and they plan to ask more parents and community members to read a couple books too. I love that for the little kids. All right, sticking with the classroom, snakes, lizards, and turtles are taking over a school in Pennsylvania. Students there are learning to embrace these scaly, slithery creatures. Gabrielle Mediak speaks to an animal advocate who is taking us into the world of reptiles.
So we put a blue line, and the kids may sit anywhere up to the blue line.
Step by step, these turtles are making learning fun for students.
These are the reptiles. How many of you guys love reptiles? Raise your hand. Well, we are going to have a lot of fun meeting a lot of reptiles. Are you ready to meet a lizard with a beard?
Reptile enthusiast Jesse Rothaker brought his forgotten friends to Croix Creek Elementary in Hallam with the hopes of making these unique creatures more approachable.
Because what do rat snakes love to eat? A lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It is the best job in the world. When we walk into a school and we just see hundreds of kids and their faces just go like this and they have these big, beautiful smiles. I mean, to me, it just shows us that all of these amazing creatures that we share our planet with, I mean, they were put here for us to learn about, explore, and enjoy.
It's a passion he's had for as long as he can remember.
Ever since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, I was finding turtles and snakes and lizards and chasing after them to make them come back out. Everyone say worms and watermelon.
He started Forgotten Friend Reptile Sanctuary to help reptiles in need and to educate the community.
So they're going to be in our backyards, we're going to run into them on a walk, and so we need to learn how important they are, the things that they do for us, and the more we learn about reptiles, the more we'll learn to give reptiles a chance.
He's been spreading awareness for the past 20 years, making in-school visits.
Are you ready to see one of the largest turtles on Earth?
And making videos online, sharing advice on what to do if you encounter one of these creatures.
My son and I were on a bike ride last week and we ran into two very large snapping turtles, and so it was an opportunity for me, who's moved hundreds of snapping turtles, to teach my son now, age 14, how he can safely move a snapping turtle.
So grab that tail, that'll control him from spinning, and get that other one underneath.
So you're going to hold that tail with one hand and get your second hand underneath and lift up the turtle while you're holding the tail and supporting the weight with your other hand, and that way it's safe for you and it's safe for the turtle.
Jesse says his goal is to help kids develop an interest in these animals instead of an anxiety surrounding them.
Let's say you're on a hike down in Florida. Red touches yellow. Do you pick it up? Definitely not. We want kids to be comfortable around reptiles. A lot of people grow up with an ignorance and a fear factor about reptiles, and so we want to overcome that by bringing them into an environment where they can laugh and learn with reptiles. They're going to spin the tail and go whoosh. And to be able to share that with the next generation, to put a passion in their heart like I have in mine for these animals, I mean, it's the best job in the world.
That was Gabrielle Mediak reporting. Now, a colorful bird in Colorado is making an amazing comeback out there thanks to a small town on the Eastern Plains that refused to let it go. Evan Krugel takes us to the town where the prairie chicken is still dancing.
Some animals can only be found in museums.
Yeah, we have our types and extincts in here.
Garth Spellman studies the past at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science.
And so this is a heath hen.
His focus is on birds that haven't flown in decades.
Many of them are sad and unfortunate stories.
Stories that are also perched upstairs.
So this was put in 1973.
In dioramas, showcasing animals like the greater prairie chicken.
And this represents the last large population in Colorado in 1973, close to Ray, Colorado.
This display might have been the chicken's final resting place, if not for a small town 150 miles to the east.
Because this is where you come to see these birds, right? This is the deal.
Wendy Figueroa loves birds too.
I tell every single group, this is how you can tell the female. She's not looking at the male.
Every spring, she helps birders get a front row seat to one of nature's most awkward dating shows.
Yeah, you'll see. You'll see.
Wendy knows where and when to look.
I love these birds, but man, they get up early in the morning. I'll see you sometime tomorrow morning.
Hours before sunrise, Wendy brings them to a metal blind north of town that's been positioned near a breeding site called a lek.
I feel like a flight attendant. Yeah.
Wendy preps the cabin while people like Duke Tufty bundle up.
Okay, I'm gonna shut out the lights. Please turn your switch and push the windows open.
For more than an hour, Duke sits quietly, waiting for something to break the silence. A call unlike anything else on the plains as the dance in the dawn begins. Year after year, each male returns to the same spot on the lek, hoping to impress a hen with his colors and moves.
And they'll stomp, and they'll cackle, and they'll jump up in the air. It's a riot.
Behind the flurry of feathers is a story of survival, from just 600 birds in the 1970s to more than 10,000 in Colorado today. The comeback is a source of pride in the quiet town of Ray.
They make things happen out here.
It's a ritual that draws crowds from far beyond the plains.
'Tis the season.
Duke came all the way from Oregon to catch a glimpse.
Prairie chickens are very visual, like they're just very beautiful. You see the males and you can't help but just think these are some of the most beautiful birds, in the country. But I think for me, I closed my eyes several times and would just listen. It was almost overwhelming.
Museums offer a window into the past, but some displays are better left to nature.
Alrighty, that was Evan Krugel reporting. Now don't go too far. We are taking a brief break, but here's a look at what's coming up next. No trash left behind. How a man is making a difference in his community by cleaning up other people's messes. Plus, a celebration that took nearly 50 years to happen. We had to a birthday party where the guests got a special gift they didn't expect.
For more than an hour, Duke sits quietly, waiting for something to break the silence. A call unlike anything else on the plains. As the dance in the dawn begins. Year after year, each male returns to the same spot on the lek, hoping to impress a hen with his colors and moves.
And they'll stomp, and they'll cackle, and they'll jump up in the air. It's a riot.
Behind the flurry of feathers is a story of survival, from just 600 birds in the 1970s to more than 10,000 in Colorado today. The comeback is a source of pride in the quiet town of Ray.
They make things happen out here.
It's a ritual that draws crowds from far beyond the plains.
'Tis the season.
Duke came all the way from Oregon to catch a glimpse.
Prairie chickens are very visual, like they're just very beautiful. You see the males and you can't help but just think these are some of the most beautiful birds, in the country. But I think for me, I closed my eyes several times and would just listen. It was almost overwhelming.
Museums offer a window into the past, but some displays are better left to nature.
Alrighty, that was Evan Krugel reporting. Now don't go too far. We are taking a brief break, but here's a look at what's coming up next. No trash left behind. How a man is making a difference in his community by cleaning up other people's messes. Plus, a celebration that took nearly 50 years to happen. We had to a birthday party where the guests got a special gift they didn't expect. Welcome back. Life can pull people apart in unexpected ways, but sometimes it brings them back together. What started as an 80th birthday party celebration turned into a surprise many guests just did not see coming. Kyle Simchuk brings us a love story nearly half a century in the making.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
At 80 years old, Steve Gove has plenty to celebrate.
I'm enjoying the fact that I'm here. My kids and family and friends are here with us.
Beside him is 78-year-old Judy Mutall.
And I'm happy that it's finally here, because it has taken some planning.
More planning than most guests realized. Steve and Judy's story began in the hallways of Seattle high schools back in 1963. Steve and his red hair caught Judy's eye at a Christmas party.
And in walks 6 very tall young men from Queen Anne in Letterman jackets, and one of them had bright red hair, and that was Steve.
They dated for nearly a year before life pulled them apart. Steve to college and eventually Vietnam. Judy to her senior year of high school.
We didn't have any friends in common that would allow us to stay in touch with each other.
For 49 years, they lived separate lives, marriages, children, careers, and divorces, never knowing they were sometimes just miles apart in the Seattle area.
15, 20 minutes away from each other.
Then in 2013, a Facebook coincidence changed everything. Steve commented on a photo posted by Judy's cousin.
And I'm like, I know that name. Oh my gosh, I wonder if it's him.
Their first meeting after nearly half a century felt surprisingly natural, and Steve took Judy's breath away again.
He said, I remember the Judy Powell. I need to get to know the Judy Mutall. I don't know that I've ever told you this. I got in the car and I sat there and I couldn't breathe. I could not breathe.
Really?
Within months of reconnecting, they were planning a future together in Arizona.
We kind of had a come to Jesus meeting and said, you know, how strong is this relationship?
Strong enough for them to leave Washington in 2014 and settle at Robeson Ranch in Eloy, where close family and friends gathered over the weekend for a birthday and something even more special.
But then I realized we were going to have all of his family here, and I was going to have both of my sons here with their kids and wives. And when would we ever have another opportunity like this?
We have come not only to celebrate a birthday, but we've come to celebrate a marriage.
Their friends from Robeson Ranch had no idea, but family members who traveled from Virginia, Georgia, Seattle, and Portland were all in on the wedding.
From this day forward.
From this day forward.
For better, for worse.
For better, for worse.
I do pronounce that they are, at last, husband and wife.
For Judy, Steve brings something she'd been missing.
He just makes me laugh. He's a happy man, and I just love him.
So it works. There's the yin and the yang, if you want to call it that.
Proving that true love knows no timeline.
That was Kyle Simchuk reporting. All right, sticking with love here. Sometimes love stinks. At least that's the case for a couple in Texas. Brandon Coates shares how smelly, gross garbage is bringing them closer together.
Approaching 2 years of marriage, this couple is ready to turn on the ignition, inspect your bin, and wash away any gunk that just won't go away.
This seems like such a random business. Why did you two start this?
It is a random business.
Well, we actually started seeing the business in trucks on social media in other big Texas cities.
Inspiring them to say to each other, why not us?
You ignore it for years and years sometimes, and it just gets absolutely disgusting.
And you can't forget about their employee, Will Barnes, who is here to support the couple's dream. Take a full ride.
Trash cans are something that everyone has, but you forget about.
After repeatedly cleaning gross garbage bins at their own Airbnb, the Army veteran and the Waco native launched their business called Canco.
We're always idea people. We always want to do something new, looking for a new challenge.
And let's just say they have plenty of stories to share at dinner parties.
One of our first customers had a delivery driver. I guess she caught him on the ring. And he peed in a big gulp cup, threw it in her trash can, and then dropped off flowers at her house. Yeah. And so she's like, I don't want to touch it.
They say it's an adventure that's shining a new light on their partner.
We started door to door yesterday. She's up there knocking on doors, ringing people's bell, talking to them, just being a social butterfly. It's cool to see her kind of push herself like that.
Something they say never feels like work when they are side by side, spraying down your trash can, cleaning one Waco bin at a time.
I don't really see it as owning a business. I see it as just what we're doing in life next.
Hey, can't say I've seen that before. That was Brandon Coates reporting. And now we're heading to North Texas, where a man has spent more than a decade of his free time picking up litter. He doesn't get paid, and no one asked him to do it.
I started noticing it more after that, and then I started to say, I'm going to do something about it.
Kenneth Wynn collects wrappers, cups, tires, and food. And nowhere does he make a bigger difference than rescuing shopping carts. Get this, Kenneth fishes them from wherever they've been dumped and fixes them up and then donates them to a food bank.
We have about 5 to 10 carts that walk off every day. And so if Ken didn't do what he did, we would have a hard time functioning.
I love people too, and I love doing something good.
That is incredible, Wynn says. People don't have to pick up trash to care about others or the community. They just have to do the right thing because someone is bound to notice. Alrighty, coming up next on Featured, there's no blank pages on this Globetrotter's passport. He takes us on an adventure around the world and he shares the lessons he's learned along the way. Welcome back. A San Diego man just became the youngest person ever to travel to every country on the globe. Woo. Jeff Zevely introduces us to the 25-year-olds taking the world by storm.
Cameron Mofeed was born to travel. When you were 12, you did what?
I memorized the location of every single country in the world on the map.
As Cameron grew, so did his spirit for adventure. You started this goal when you were 18.
Yeah.
Cameron got on Google with questions.
Just researching, like randomly, how many people had ever been to every country? How many countries exist in the world? Who's the youngest person to have ever visited every country? I found that more people had been to space than had been to every country in the world.
When Cameron shared his plans with others,
everyone thought it was nuts. Like, all my friends were like, there's no way you're gonna do it. You're gonna get yourself killed. Like, you're really gonna go to Afghanistan, and you're gonna go to the Congo, and you're gonna go to Yemen and North Korea. And I looked at them and I was like, yeah, watch me.
Cameron is now one of 400 people to travel to all 195 countries in the world. What was your record for visiting countries in a single year?
I think I visited 50, I want to say, in 2023. Yeah, that was a crazy year.
He's recognized as the youngest person to travel to every country and actually go into North Korea, where he recently finished a marathon.
50,000 people cheering for you.
If you're wondering how Cameron paid for all of this, he says he's not rich. So you didn't win the lottery?
No.
Cameron often hitchhiked and slept on couches. Anything to get to the next spot.
From Pakistan, and then I hitchhiked to Afghanistan, and then I went to Turkmenistan, and then Tajikistan and Kazakhstan.
He started a nonprofit in Nigeria called Humanity Effect, with 2 schools and an orphanage. And then you received a surprise donation from who?
Kyrie Irving.
From the NBA,
yeah,
who's massively famous.
Yeah.
And he gave you how much?
$45,000.
Cameron also made lifelong friends.
It's about making yourself uncomfortable
and gave a TED Talk.
And committing and embracing to all of those feelings.
Because you visited every country, what would your message be?
Politicians have an incentive to divide us, to say that, you know, this is the side of good and that's the side of bad, of evil. And that's just not the case. You know, I was welcomed with open arms in some of the most politically tense countries that exist. I was welcomed with a glass of tea and a smile. So I think I want people to know that the world is far less scary than it's made out to be.
From all your travel, do you think people are good?
Yes. Yes. People are inherently good.
Wow, and I love that little bit he said about being comfortable with what makes you uncomfortable. There could be something great on the other side of it. You just got to push through. Alrighty, that was Jeff Zevely reporting. Cameron says he has taken more than 500 flights in the past 7 years. Can't wait to see what he has in store in the future. And that is it for us here at Featured. I hope you found something that inspired you or simply made you smile. Until next time, make it a great one.